Good morning or afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the webcast. Topic for today is why followers should be a key piece of your talent acquisition strategy. My name is Becca Feldman. I am with LinkedIn here in the Chicago office, and I'm the Global Marketing and Education Program Manager for our Talent Brand Solutions team. I'm joined by Jamie Drayton, a senior consultant on our team, who's going to be speaking with you today. A couple of logistics things before we dive into the content. So you all know this session will be recorded. You will receive an email with a link to the recording as well as a link to the presentation. You should get that within a few days after today's webcast, so hang tight. I promise you will all receive a copy of that. We are going to have you all on mute for this webcast so that we don't have any noise interference, but we do have time at the end for Q&A. So if you have questions, feel free to input them throughout the presentation or at the end into the chat or Q&A box. I will be moderating those questions when we get to the end of the presentation so that Jamie can provide answers. We will get through as many questions as possible. Once again, thank you for joining. And I will, one more thing to note actually, if you are interested in tweeting about today's webcast, our hashtag is #HireToWin. This is the hashtag that LinkedIn Talent Solutions uses for all of our events and key things that we want to tweet about. So it's also a good hashtag to follow and look up as well. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Jamie to get things started. And we look forward to speaking with you all today. Jamie, take it away.
Thanks, Becca. Hi, everybody, and thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Jamie Drayton. I'm a senior consultant here at LinkedIn. My focus is partnering with our clients on their brand strategy and media solutions for talent acquisition. Really excited to lead today's session on why followers should be a key component of your talent acquisition strategy. So here's the general flow of our content today. We're going to start with why followers matter. I've got some really great new data to share with you in this section. Then we're going to get into what I'm referring to as a full cycle follower strategy on LinkedIn, which includes attracting the right followers, nurturing them through the talent acquisition funnel, and ultimately converting them to hires. Lastly, we'll look at a series of data and metrics that you can use to track your success. Before we get going, I want to mention that I still frequently have conversations with clients who've been using LinkedIn for years, who still have some misconceptions or may be unaware of some aspects of the functionality related to the LinkedIn follower ecosystem. So I've included some of those basics in the presentation that some of the veterans out there may be familiar with, but please bear with me because I have tons of new and advanced stuff for you as well. Additionally, I want to set an expectation that this is not a content marketing best practices webinar. Of course, content marketing is a major component of the follower ecosystem, and I'm going to touch on it a bit, but we won't be going into a ton of detail on content marketing. And with that, let's get into it. So it's important to understand that the space we're all playing in, which I refer to as the intersection of social, marketing, and talent acquisition, it's constantly evolving. Because something was one way 6 months ago, by no means can you assume it'll be the same today. So I start with a couple trends that you should keep in mind regarding your follower strategy. The LinkedIn network continues to grow rapidly. When I joined the company 4 years ago, we had 125 million members, and we're at nearly 420 million today. We continue to expand into new regions and new audiences. Think truck drivers, nurses, students, people in China, in Germany, and other remote parts of the world. Audiences that were previously assumed to not be on LinkedIn are joining. Also in the trending category, and this should come as no surprise to our audience today, is the massive shift to mobile. Over 55% of LinkedIn's traffic now comes from mobile. And what are people doing on mobile? Consuming content. This is clearly relevant in a conversation about follower strategy and as the shift to mobile enables you to reach your followers via content updates and also reach highly targeted audiences beyond your followers when you sponsor your content posts. So here are some data points around why you should care about your followers for talent acquisition. Based on a survey LinkedIn conducted last year, we know that 79% of followers on LinkedIn want to receive career opportunities from the companies they're following. From actual LinkedIn aggregate data, we know that followers are more likely to accept in-mails and apply for jobs as well. Let's dive deeper into those last two data points. Here's one of the great new data sets that we're able to share with our clients, like all of you on the call today. This is actual data for a specific company. It's not average data, but this would be consistent with what we typically see. It compares in-mail acceptance rates from recruiters for different audiences after they've engaged with a variety of media solutions on LinkedIn. It compares those acceptance rates to the acceptance rates of recipients who have had no previous brand engagement. So at the very far left, gray column is the in-mail acceptance rate when no previous engagement with the brand has occurred, and that's here, it's 21%. The pink column in the middle shows that for followers, that response rate increases dramatically to 38%. We can look at a similar comparison for job apply rates. This company has an average job application rate of 15.8%, as shown on the far left in dark gray. The audience that has no previous engagement with the brand, that second column from the left in light gray, is less likely to apply to jobs at just 12.9%. And we see that followers have the highest job application rate at 24.5%. That's the pink column in the middle. So these two new data sets, in-mail acceptance rates from the previous slide and the job application rates by media engagement, tell a very compelling story about the value of your followers for talent acquisition. Followers make your recruiters more efficient by increasing those in-mail acceptance rates and driving more job applications. But let's move on to this next data point, which is ultimately what I want to help you with. The percentage of LinkedIn members that you hired over the past year that were followers before joining your team. A complete full cycle follower strategy has a goal of making hires and tracks data to that goal. A successful strategy would show this metric steadily increasing over time. We're able to share this data point with all of our clients, so if you haven't seen it yet, please reach out to your rep. So we've looked at some pretty strong proof points, I think, around why followers are important for talent acquisition. Let's move on and get into what that full cycle strategy consists of. In order to pull candidates through the talent acquisition funnel, we first need to, again, attract the right followers, nurture them through the funnel with content marketing, and then ultimately convert the best quality followers to hires. A couple years back, the extent of a follower strategy conversation was largely, how many followers do we have now? And how many did we get in the past year? It's a very different conversation today. Companies are thinking not just about follower growth, but are we attracting the right followers? And so when talking about the right followers, we need to understand the difference between organic followers and targeted followers. Organic followers self-select to follow you on your company page, career page, job posts, and in their news feeds. And they join your company, they become a follower at a rate reflective of the size of your business, your brand strength, and your activity on LinkedIn, among other things. Organic followers can be anybody and might include people interested in your products and services, so customers and potential customers. They might include your peers, your competitors, stakeholders, investors, people interested in working at your company from all backgrounds and experience levels. And of course, any other interested person who may or may not be someone your company is interested in hiring. Organic followers are, of course, free, which is awesome. But you also want to think about targeted followers who self-select to follow you as a result of targeted efforts. Targeted followers are typically more valuable because if we've done a good job with our targeting, these followers are from our priority talent segments, the people that you need to attract, engage, and hire. The big difference to organic followers is, of course, that the primary way to grow targeted followers is through paid programs such as recruitment ads and sponsored content, which we're going to look at in a little bit. So as you're answering the question of, are we attracting the right followers, you should be looking at the demographic breakdown of your followers to see what industries, functions, seniorities, and geographies they're in. You want to analyze if the key talent audiences that you need to hire are following you. You notice in the industry and function breakdown, two colors. The blue represents organic follower growth, and the orange represents targeted follower growth. If you see the key audiences that you need to attract are not following you, you may want to consider a proactive strategy to change that. Which leads us to, how can you attract more of the right followers? Here we're going to look at 4 ways to attract more of the right followers. First is around being strategic about your content marketing program to attract quality followers organically. And here this is basically about how good posts generate engagement, which leads to viral distribution, which leads to more followers. And we'll walk through an example in a minute. Company pages, career pages, and job posts are all gateways to collect followers. So more traffic to these destinations will collect more followers. At no cost, you can add the LinkedIn Follow Company button to your website. We'll show you how to do that. And lastly, as I mentioned, leveraging paid programs is the easiest way to attract targeted followers. Let's jump into each of these in a bit more detail. In order to be strategic about our content marketing, we first need to be clear about what content marketing is, so let's start with a definition. Content marketing is a strategic marketing approach focused on creating and distributing valuable, relevant, and consistent content to attract and retain a clearly defined audience and ultimately drive profitable customer action. For talent acquisition, of course, we can change that clearly defined audience to talent. So because content marketing was being used originally for the marketing of products and services, and only in the past couple of years has it been adopted more broadly for talent acquisition, it should come as no surprise that the leading companies, those with the strongest content marketing programs, are working very collaboratively internally. Communications, PR, marketing, HR, talent acquisition, sometimes the business leads, and executive team are all aligned and marching in the same direction, and I'd encourage your company to think about content marketing this way if you're not already doing it today. So to be strategic about your content marketing strategy, it's imperative to understand what happens when an update is posted. Administrators of the company pages will be familiar with this view, which enables those admins to post updates to their company followers. So first, the text component of the post is entered here. Media, such as an image, video, or presentation is attached here. It's important that posts only relevant for some of your followers are targeted, as to not send updates to your followers that may not be applicable to them. By clicking on the Share With field, you'll be able to target your update to followers by company size, industry, function, seniority, geography, and language preferences. The module on the right will show you in real time how many of your followers meet the target criteria that you've selected to give you a sense if you're too broad or if you're over-targeted. And from there, you can choose to include or exclude current employees who, as a reminder, automatically follow you when they change on their profile that they work for your company. Once everything is ready to go, you set your post live, and three main things happen. First, that update is going to display at the top of the feed on your company page. It will also display in the recent updates section of your career page. And the main one I want to bring your attention to, of course, is how it pushes out into the news feeds of your followers where they're consuming that content. Your company page and career page are visited every day, and you'll attract organic followers at these gateways. However, optimizing your content updates to followers should predominantly be focused on what happens when your updates push out to the news feeds of those followers. So as I mentioned a minute ago, good, high-quality posts earn viral distribution and attract new followers. And just for fun, let's walk through exactly what that looks like so we're all clear about it. So company ABC posts an update to its followers. Let's pretend they have 26,102 followers, so that post is eligible to be shown to that audience. After 3 days, the post has been viewed over 9,600 times, 45 people have clicked on it, and has generated 33 social interactions, which include people liking that post, commenting on it, or sharing it. For each like, share, and comment, the post earns viral distribution to the networks of those that engaged. And so members in those networks become followers when posts resonate with them. And as I've demonstrated all across the bottom there, each time that social interaction pushes out to a new network, you're going to gain more followers. So we could spend the entire webinar today going deep on content marketing best practices. We've done webinars on this topic in the past, and no doubt there will be more in the future. But today I wanted to focus on that full cycle follower strategy beyond just the content marketing component. There are tons of great resources out there that you can pull from to optimize your current content marketing strategy. Make sure that your strategy has a defined owner. It has goals. You've got a calendar or an execution plan, and a set of metrics that are being looked at to measure success. Here are 3 examples along the bottom of our slide here of existing documents LinkedIn has created featuring content marketing best practices. Links to these documents will be included when we send out the deck after today's session. I will spend one quick slide here reminding you of 10 content marketing best practices, but we're going to go quickly. Always include a clear call to action. Ask thoughtful questions to engage and include your audience. Always include an image or rich media. Post videos to encourage sharing. Give your target talent a peek behind the office door. That's that culture piece that people are dying to learn more about when they're thinking of working at your company. Enthusiastically respond to comments. Avoid over-targeting. Monitor, analyze, constantly refine your strategy. Share your content across all social platforms, and have a plan or calendar, but also be ready to stray from that plan, particularly around current and timely events. So as mentioned, company pages, career pages, and job posts on desktop and mobile are all gateways to attract more followers. So more traffic to these pages will attract more followers. How can we drive more traffic to these pages? An always-on content marketing program will keep your company ecosystem buzzing and generate traffic to these destinations. Jobs are a big collection point for followers, so it should be no surprise that more jobs on the platform will lead to more traffic and more organic followers. Media, things like traffic driver ads that come with your career page and branding on employee profiles will drive more traffic and more follower growth. And lastly, employee engagement and activity. This is huge. So I hope you're encouraging your employees to engage on social platforms. There's enough content within employee activation for a full other webinar, but if you haven't heard about LinkedIn Elevate or LinkedIn referrals yet, please be sure to ask your rep. Another easy and free way to attract followers is to put the LinkedIn Follow Company button on your company website. The link to the site where you can access the button, developer.linkedin.com, will also be included in the follow-up materials. So as I mentioned before, the best way to attract more of the right followers is through targeted programs. And there are two primary ways to do this. The first is through recruitment advertising. This is a fully automated way to reach your target audience with an invitation to follow your company. With one click, that member becomes a follower. All you have to do with recruitment ads is tell LinkedIn who you want to target, and we take care of the rest. The second way to proactively collect targeted followers is through sponsored updates. You'll also hear people call sponsored updates sponsored content. When an update is sponsored, you're able to reach any targeted audience across LinkedIn, maximizing the reach of your messaging beyond your followers. When you reach non-followers with quality posts, they become followers. Here's how we're able to target ads in updates today. You'll notice many more targeting parameters with recruitment ads and sponsored updates compared to the 6 filters you have access to when you're posting company updates to your followers. To learn more about paid targeted growth follower programs, please reach out to your LinkedIn rep. So let's pivot now and address the bottom of the funnel. How can we convert the best quality followers to hires? The first thing I want to share are some simple examples of companies sending company updates with a call to action that will lead to job views and applications. So here's Four Seasons, driving traffic out of LinkedIn back to their careers website. Goodyear uses LinkedIn to invite followers to recruiting events. And there's nothing wrong with sprinkling in the odd, interesting job post into your content marketing mix, as SpaceX has done here, looking for a crane operator in Texas. Hopefully you've all heard of and are extremely excited about Next Gen Recruiter. I want to show a couple very cool features in Next Gen Recruiter that will help you convert followers to hires. With the new spotlights, as shown at the top of the screen here, you can filter your search results by engaged with your talent brand. This is a very efficient way for your recruiters to filter their results and access those candidates that have already shown interest in your company by engaging with your brand previously. Being a follower is one of the ways we define engaged with the brand, along with those visiting your career page, clicking on recruitment ads, and so on. As we saw from the data earlier on, followers are much more likely to respond favorably to the recruiter outreach, so this is going to make the lives of your recruiters better. And of course, there's an indicator within the engaged with talent brand audience that shows if that particular member is indeed a follower. See that red circle at the bottom of the screen. Additionally, if you want to isolate those search results to only those following your company, you click the View More link at the bottom left of your screen. That'll open up many additional features you can use to narrow your audience, and there you'll find company followers on the right. By selecting that filter, you can isolate your search results to only those that are also following your company. So some great ways there, thinking about that bottom of the funnel, converting followers to hires. The final piece of the full cycle follower strategy is about measuring success. You want to identify the metrics that matter most to you based on your goals and look at those metrics in a regular cadence to track your progress. Here's a new dashboard with some great data that LinkedIn is able to share with all of you, our clients. This data mirrors the TA funnel, but uses some slightly different language. So build, we're in the top blue box, refers to the top of the funnel, raising awareness. How many followers do you have and how many did we add in the past 90 days? The engagement data is compelling in the middle, the orange layer there, telling you how many followers visited your company page, looked at a job or an update, and how many engaged with a status update. At the bottom, you'll see that comparison of in-mail response rates, followers versus non-followers. You'll see follower job applications, and finally hires, the final data point in the full cycle follower strategy. This is a powerful dashboard to look at month over month to see that your follower strategy is working. There's a strong correlation between followers and active job seekers. And we can share with you how many of your followers found new opportunities after they started following your company. We can share with you the top companies that are hiring your followers. You'll also want to track your month-over-month follower growth and compare your overall follower growth to the priority audiences that you're trying to attract. You can see in this chart that we break out organic followers and then those targeted followers attracted through each of the solutions you're investing in. Here's an example of how to visualize the success. This graph shows both the growth of total followers and the growth of a specific segment of followers, in this case tech followers, and this allows you to track the growth rates of individual segments against the whole. If you're focused on messaging to certain segments, you should see a faster growth rate for those segments versus overall growth. I should mention that this chart is not one that LinkedIn can provide to you, but one that you can build and update yourself if you're collecting the data. Most of you are probably familiar with this module, accessible at any time in your company analytics. LinkedIn identifies some of your key talent competitors and shows you how you compare per overall followers. Some companies are looking at this data and thinking about how they can surpass their peers. Analysis can be done that tracks your own company's follower growth over time and models out your expected trajectory. Your competitors' real-time follower numbers are accessible at their company pages, so by collecting that data over time, you can model out the trajectory of your peers as well, which can help guide your strategy regarding how aggressively you want to grow your followers. Again, future trajectory is not one that LinkedIn can provide for you, but one you can model out yourself if you're collecting historical data. And lastly, as part of your holistic overall LinkedIn tracking and benchmarking, total follower percentage growth should be a number you look at in comparison to all your other metrics to ensure followers are growing at least at the same rate as the rest of your metrics. So by way of a few key takeaways, I wanted to impress upon you how important and valuable your followers are for talent acquisition and that they have expectations and they want to receive good quality content from you. Have a strategy and build it around those three pillars: attract, nurture, convert. Deliver a targeted and authentic content marketing program 365 days a year and use data to optimize your approach. That is all the content that I wanted to share with you today around why followers are so valuable for talent acquisition And at this point, hoping Becca is still there, if you submit some questions through the chat, I will do my best to answer them.
Thank you, Jamie. Quick note before we jump into Q&A, for those of you on the line, there will be a SurveyMonkey survey link that you're redirected to when you leave today's webcast. We would very much appreciate it if you took a few minutes to fill that out. We really do take the feedback that you give us to heart on these webcasts. We do them at least on a monthly basis and want to make sure that we're always meeting your needs and improving the webcast as much as possible. So please, if you have a minute, take a chance to fill out that survey when you leave today's webcast. And with that, we will dive into the Q&A. So again, as Jamie mentioned, feel free if you've got questions to put them into the chat box or the Q&A box, as I will be monitoring those. And Jamie, the first question, and this is related to slide 12, is the one with the graph of the world, is in the U.S., is the key audience only in the middle of the country, or does the large dot on the graph represent all of the U.S.?
Great question, and why don't I jump back there quickly so that everybody else knows which slide we're referring to. Yeah, so on this particular slide, we're breaking the followers out just at the country level. So that big circle over the U.S. would represent how many followers are in the United States compared to other countries.
Great. Next question, someone wanted to know, how do we measure if our follower growth rate is average, above, or below average compared to our competitors?
Yep, another great question, and I tried to touch on that a little bit in one of the graphs towards the end. Let me see if I can find that. So if the person who asked the question is still with us and looking at the current slide on trajectory analysis. So any company's current followers are available at their company page, right? Any of us can visit a company and see how many followers that company has. The only way to measure if your growth is at a comparable rate to your competitors would be to look at your growth month over month, and then also look at the growth of your peers month over month. And if you track that, as I've done in this particular image, if you track that and see at what sort of average pace your followers are growing, you'll be able to compare that to that of your peers and model out a trajectory analysis as I've done here.
Great. Next question. Someone had a question about number 9 on the content marketing tips, which was sharing across all social platforms. And the question that they had is, do you find that being consistent across LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, etc., is good, or that it's redundant in case you have similar followers on multiple platforms, or are most users unique to the platform?
I like that question. Yeah, great question. So a couple thoughts on that. The redundancy piece, I don't think you can make an assumption that if you're pushing content out somewhere that you wouldn't want to push it out somewhere else because they're going to see it on one platform and not the other. In the one example I walked through where company ABC had 26,000 followers, after 3 days that post had been seen under 10,000 times, and that's common because of how much content there is. Each post isn't going to reach all followers. So that's the first piece around redundancy. I think you want to leverage all of the social platforms to make sure you're engaging your key audiences where they are. The second comment I'd make is around a consistent message, and I think a best practice would absolutely be if your team has the bandwidth to have a more customized approach based on the type of content that your audience expects to receive. And so, at a high level, your content would be skewed in a more professional direction on LinkedIn than it may be to some of the other social platforms out there, and you may want to take a more fun, lighthearted approach in another environment. I hope that answers the question.
A couple of questions, Jamie, around where to access some of these metrics and data. So the first one is, are the tracking metrics available through Recruiter or the company page? And then the next question is around the new data that you've shown in terms of who's hiring your followers, et cetera, and follower breakdown. Is that available in the admin view, or do I need to get it from my LinkedIn rep?
Yeah, so most of what I shared today is going to be from your LinkedIn rep. We're, as I'm sure all of you are familiar, you know, our platform, our data continues to evolve, and what we're bringing back to you that you have access to directly is also evolving. So you'll see what you have access to directly today at the Analytics tab at the company page. And I don't want to speak out of turn here, but there are some premium insights that, if you're not seeing them today, will be live shortly. So we're delivering you more data that you have access to yourself in real time at any moment. But again, most of the colorful slides I shared to you with the detailed data points, you're going to have to reach out to your LinkedIn rep for.
Thanks. Another great question around content. This person says, we are a fairly small company and social media is just one of many hats I wear, so I don't always have time to create unique content. Is it okay to share other found content if you're a more localized company, as long as it's interesting enough to get views?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'd say that's applicable whether you're a small company or a big company. Leveraging existing content is absolutely okay, and I would suggest should be part of your strategy. There's many outlets out there, you know, that can feed you relevant content based on your industry, your business. And so filtering through that and forwarding the best, most applicable pieces for your audience is encouraged. And again, that's for the small companies who are, you know, as we heard, they're wearing many hats, up to the largest companies. Everybody's doing that.
Great. Jamie, do you have any tips or tricks for kind of recommended words or content or things to include in your emails that go out to followers in order to attract them to open and apply to jobs?
Great question. What I would say there is, I think about some best practices that we share with clients when they're using some of our tools. And, you know, the theme is always the more personable and relevant and customized the messaging, the more it's going to resonate with your audience. You know, we're all bombarded with a million messages and advertisements, marketing messages a day, and we only have the attention and bandwidth for those that resonate with us personally. So if you know somebody is a follower, I would say put something in your messaging that acknowledges that. It doesn't necessarily need to say, hey, I know you're a follower, but it could say, hey, it's great to see that you've shown interest in our company, and we appreciate you engaging with us and being interested in our brand. I think acknowledging that in some way will go a long way for that recipient to want to respond back.
Great, thanks. Another question that we got here, are we also able to target our information / marketing efforts toward followers of other companies in the recruiter function?
In the recruiter function, are you able to target, let me see if I understand that question correctly. So in recruiter, are you able to target the followers of other companies?
Yeah, I believe that's the question.
Yeah, and I don't know, but I don't think that's possible. I think you're only able to filter your results by followers of your own company and not leverage the followers of other companies.
Yep, that is correct.
Yeah.
Another question as well, interesting question. This person wants to know, you know, they think this is great information for people managing the marketing on LinkedIn for their company overall. Is there anything similar that a person could do with their own personal followers?
Personal followers. Well, I mean, I would say that would be a different conversation, only because now we're getting out of the scope of talent acquisition. And so I would start that as an individual. What are your goals? If you've got goals to expand your audience, I mean, things that you should be doing on LinkedIn to grow your network are things like commenting, engaging on things that are in your news feed, and absolutely posting fresh content, whether that's information you're pushing out from your Pulse news feed or other outlets, again, sharing existing content, or creating original free-form posts. I mean, hopefully you're all aware of that functionality and how it works on LinkedIn, but anybody now can write a post and post that out to their networks. So the more engaged you are on LinkedIn, the more active you are, the more you're supporting your network when they post by commenting and liking and sharing. All of those things are going to generate a buzz around your network and grow your network.
And the person who asked that question actually followed up. That person's brand is talent acquisition. They're in talent acquisition. So I think to add on to what Jamie said, you know, my thoughts on this as well is look at what your company is sharing out to their followers, and you have the ability to share that information as well. So I'd say if you have a lot of connections that are people that you might want to recruit and you want to think positively about you and your company, share the same types of information that your company would share with their overall followers, things that are interesting about your industry, your field, things that are relevant to the jobs and career opportunities, of course, at your organization. You don't get the same tracking and metrics with your own personal followers as you do with the company followers, but from a content sharing perspective, I think you're going to want to share similar types of content if you're looking to help build your organization's brand as well as your personal brand. And then I think we've got one last question here, and I'll scan to make sure I didn't miss any. This person is asking, they have a lot of people who reach out directly to them, so not people that are necessarily choosing to follow the company, but rather reaching out directly to this person, so much so that they probably don't have bandwidth to engage all of them. So they're asking any recommendation on how to effectively engage and market with such a large number of individuals while still being able to recruit those people and have time to do your normal recruiting.
Sure, yeah. And Becca, feel free to add some commentary if you've got ideas. I mean, my approach to that, if you're in talent acquisition and people are coming directly to you and you're sort of getting overwhelmed with inquiries and interest and don't feel that you have the bandwidth to handle them all individually, I would come up with a somewhat standardized messaging and saying, very complimentary and thanking these people for their interest, but then steering them towards either your career page or becoming a follower or wherever you're collecting and capturing their enthusiasm. That could be in a lead capture program on LinkedIn. Wherever you want to steer that person, instead of them coming directly to you, I would have a sort of standardized response to that, and then leveraging that whenever appropriate.
Wonderful. Well, that is all the questions that we've gotten today. If anyone on the line has any other questions that we somehow missed or you think of after today's webcast, of course, feel free to reach out to your own LinkedIn relationship manager and talent brand consultants. I'm sure you would be very happy to continue the conversation around followers. Again, as a reminder, you will all receive an email within a few days with a copy of the presentation as well as a link to the recording. And if you do have a minute or two to fill out the SurveyMonkey link that you will be redirected to, we definitely would very much appreciate that. So thank you, Jamie. Thank you to everyone on the line, and I hope you all have a great afternoon, and we hopefully will see you at future webinars. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Becca. Bye.